In 1951, the biggest motorcycle company on the planet was British. Not Japanese, not German, British. A company called BSA had just bought Triumph, and at its peak, the group was the largest motorcycle manufacturer in the world. Its advertising bragged, "1 in 4 is a BSA. 1 in every 4 bikes sold on Earth." Now that was an advertising claim, not an audited number, but nobody at the time was really in a position to argue with it. Norton, Triumph, Vincent, Ariel, this one soggy little island was the beating heart of motorcycling. Fast forward 20 years and it had all but vanished. And this is the part that really messes with people. The country that builds the most motorcycles today isn't Britain, and it isn't even Japan. So how many countries genuinely still make their own motorcycles, engine and all? By the strictest reading, 5. And I'll be honest with you up front, that number is going to make some of you furious, so I'm going to show you my working. So let's set the test right now, because everything in this video hangs off it. To count, a country needs companies that design their own engines and their own complete motorcycles, sell them around the world, and do it across a genuine range of bikes rather than one narrow corner of the market. Designing the powertrain is the hard part. That's the bit you cannot fake, borrow, or buy off a shelf. And notice what that test does not care about. It does not care where the final bolt gets tightened. Because if you insist that a real motorcycle nation builds every component inside its own borders, you end up with a list of exactly 0 countries. Every single manufacturer on this list buys brakes, suspension, electronics, and fasteners from a global supply chain. So the question isn't where the factory sits, it's who owns the drawings. Now, why does that filter cut so deep? Last year, the world produced more than 60 million motorcycles, at least by Markline's count, though Honda reckons annual demand is closer to 50 million, and the gap between those two numbers is entirely about whether you're counting scooters, mopeds, and electric two-wheelers. India alone built somewhere around 24 million. China, right about 20 million. So by raw output, the motorcycle superpowers look obvious. Except a huge share of those are small commuter bikes and scooters. And for decades, a lot of them ran engines that were designed somewhere else and then copied wholesale. The Honda CG125 engine got cloned so many times, it basically became a public utility. Bolting together somebody else's blueprint is assembly. Honest work, pays the bills, moves people around. But it is not the same as inventing the engine and drawing the chassis. Hold that thought, because by the end of this video, I'm going to have to walk part of it back. To understand why any of this matters, we have to start in the graveyard, because the country that once ruled all of this also shows you exactly how a nation loses the ability to make motorcycles. Let's talk about Britain, because honestly, this one still stings. Through the 50s and into the 60s, British motorcycles were the global benchmark. If you wanted fast and cool, you wanted a Triumph Bonneville or a Norton. Marlon Brando rode a Triumph in the Wild One. Steve McQueen was obsessed with them. These weren't just machines, they were the actual definition of rebel cool. And then it fell apart. And I want to be careful here because the popular version of this story is lazy British bosses got beaten by hungry Honda. And that's too simple. The historian Steve Kerner, who wrote the definitive book on this collapse, describes it as a pileup of self-inflicted wounds. Chronic underinvestment, fragmented companies building duplicate products, management that was brilliant at racing and hopeless at business planning, quality control that turned will it start on a cold morning into a genuine open question. Riders nicknamed the company behind those electrical parts the Prince of Darkness, and they did not mean it kindly. And crucially, the British firms misread their own customers, chasing sporty bikes for young enthusiasts while handing the scooter and commuter market to Italy and then to Japan. So when Honda arrived with enormous scale, bikes that started every time, and dealers who actually stocked spare parts, Britain had no answer at the level that mattered. And by the early 1960s, Honda was already the largest motorcycle producer on the planet. Britain had been on top a decade earlier. Now here's the bit that gets left out. Britain did fight back. In 1968, Triumph and BSA launched the Trident and the Rocket 3, genuinely sophisticated three-cylinder machines. Real engineering. But a year later, Honda dropped the CB750 and it was over. The CB750 put an inline-4, a front disc brake, an electric starter, and mass production reliability into one bike for $14.95. The British triples were older tech in a prettier jacket, and they arrived from an industry that couldn't match Honda on price, quality, or dealer confidence. The collapse from there was brutal. By the mid-70s, Britain was building somewhere around 20,000 motorcycles a year. Honda was building close to 2 million. In 1973, the government bolted Norton, Villiers, and Triumph together into one desperate rescue company, and even that fell into receivership. Triumph's workers at Meriden refused to go quietly. When the plan came to shut their factory, they occupied it, blockaded the gates for months, and eventually formed their own cooperative, building bikes almost by hand until 1983. A man named Les Harris then built Bonneville's under license in Devon until 1988, which is the thin thread that keeps Triumph's production history technically unbroken. So no, Britain didn't quite hit zero. But it went from world leadership to a rounding error in about a generation. And it happened because the people in charge stopped investing while somebody hungrier showed up. Keep that in your back pocket, because it nearly happened again to one of the countries still on this list. One more ghost story before the countdown, and this one's American. For most of the last century, there were two great American names, Harley-Davidson and Indian. Indian was actually the older of the two, and it stopped building motorcycles around 1953. The name then wandered the desert for almost 60 years, getting slapped on rebadged foreign bikes, until Polaris bought it in 2011 and properly relaunched it in 2013. Harley survived, but survived is doing heavy lifting there. The company nearly died in the early 80s, and I want to correct something you've probably heard, which is that a tariff saved Harley-Davidson. It really didn't, not on its own. What saved Harley was a group of 13 executives buying the company out of AMF in 1981 and then rebuilding how it actually made motorcycles. Just-in-time inventory, statistical process control, and a brand new Evolution engine. Yes, there was a tariff on big imported bikes from 1983, but Harley was doing so well by 1987 that it asked the government to remove that tariff a year early. That's not a company being propped up. That's a company that fixed itself. And right now, Harley is struggling again. Its worldwide retail sales fell from about 151,000 bikes in 2024 to 132,000 in 2025, down 12%. Its motorcycle division swung from a healthy operating profit to an operating loss. And they brought in a brand new chief executive in October 2025 to stop the slide. So hold that thought about America too, because I promise we're coming back to it. Making motorcycles is not a trophy you keep forever. You can lose it. Britain lost it. So who's actually holding on to it? Let's count down. Number 5, Austria. Probably not on your mental list of great motorcycle nations, but one brand drags it on here almost single-handedly, and that's KTM. Those aggressive orange dirt bikes and adventure machines you see everywhere off-road. KTM designs its own engines, owns WP suspension, owns Husqvarna and Gas, and has utterly dominated the Dakar Rally for years, with a winning streak in the 18-year range at one point. Their slogan is "Ready to Race," and unusually for a slogan, it's just accurate. On paper, this is a top 3 motorcycle country. So why is it down at number 5? Because KTM just lived through the exact British nightmare. The company grew too fast, built far too many bikes, watched unsold stock pile up, and in November 2024, KTM's main company filed for court-supervised restructuring in Austria. Not bankruptcy exactly. It's a process that lets management keep control while it reorganizes, but the numbers were terrifying. Roughly 2.7 billion euros in liabilities and around 1,600 creditors. Production stopped. The workforce was cut hard, down to under 3,800 people by the end of 2025. And here's the twist that ties this whole video together. The company that rescued KTM was Bajaj, an Indian company. In November 2025, Bajaj took full control of KTM's listed parent, and to be precise about it, Bajaj now owns the holding company that controls about 3/4 of that listed business. The headquarters stays in Mattighofen, the engineering is still Austrian, and thousands of staff are still in Austria. But the checkbook is Indian now. Austria still makes motorcycles. It just had a genuinely frightening near-death experience. Number 4, and this is a fantastic comeback story. The United Kingdom. Hang on, didn't we just watch Britain's motorcycle industry die? We did. But one name climbed straight out of those ashes: Triumph. When the old Triumph collapsed, a British property developer named John Bloor quietly bought the name out of the wreckage in 1983. He didn't slap the badge on a cheap import. He spent years and a fortune building an entirely new company, new factory, new modular engine family, and unveiled the reborn range at the Cologne show in 1990, with the first customer bikes going out in 1991. And it worked. Triumph now sells those gorgeous modern classics and the 3-cylinder triple that's become its signature engine. The modern Bonneville dragged that rebel cool look straight back into showrooms, and a whole new generation fell for it. In 2024, Triumph sold 134,000 bikes, the best year in its 122-year history. Now the asterisk, because bike people are already typing. The large majority of Triumphs are built in Thailand, and the small 400s are built by Bajaj in India. Hinckley today does design, engineering, prototyping, and low-volume specials rather than mass production. So is it really British? By our test, yes, and here's why. The company is British-owned and British headquartered, and the engines and complete motorcycles are designed in Hinckley. The country that lost absolutely everything is the only one that clawed its way back. And hey, if you're enjoying this, hit subscribe, because I do this kind of motorcycle history and industry breakdown every week, and I'd love to have you around. Right, top 3. Number 3, Germany, on the strength of one powerhouse, BMW Motorrad. If Italy is the artist of the motorcycle world, Germany is the engineer who turns up with a spreadsheet and a slightly smug grin, because everything on their bike just works. BMW has been building its Boxer engine, the one with 2 cylinders poking out the sides, since 1923. 100 years of a layout so distinctive you can spot it across a car park. And business is booming. In 2024, BMW sold a record 210,000 motorcycles and scooters, the best year in company history, with the GS Adventure family alone accounting for over 68,000. People plan trips across entire continents around those things. The fair knock is that BMW's small platforms are built in India with TVS, but the Boxers, the flagship engineering, that's still Berlin. Germany doesn't just make motorcycles, it makes the bikes everyone else on this list quietly measures themselves against. Number 2, Italy. And if we ranked on pure passion, Italy takes the crown outright, because nobody makes a motorcycle feel like an event the way the Italians do. Ducati, Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, MV Agusta, Vespa. That's not a country, that's a hall of fame. Ducati is the headliner, with howling V-twins and V4s, and that unmistakable red. For decades, Ducati built engines using a desmodromic valve system, where the valves get mechanically pulled shut instead of relying on springs, which is a genuinely difficult way to build an engine that basically nobody else bothered with. That's the Italian approach in one component. And they don't just look pretty parked outside a cafe. In 2024, a Ducati-mounted rider won the MotoGP World Championship for the 3rd season in a row, this time Jorge Martin riding for the independent Pramac team, and Ducati machinery won 19 of the 20 Sunday Grand Prix. 19 out of 20. That's not nostalgia, that's total dominance. Aprilia builds its own screaming V4 race engines that punch way above the company's size, and MV Agusta makes bikes so ridiculous to look at they belong in a gallery. Then there's Moto Guzzi, building motorcycles at Mandello del Lario on Lake Como since 1921, which makes it the oldest European motorcycle marque still in continuous production, over a century in the same town, with that lovable, weird, sideways-mounted engine. Out of a factory, Piaggio has now thoroughly modernized. Italy's whole philosophy is that a motorcycle is a design object first and an appliance never. It makes bikes the way France makes wine. Number 1. Come on, was there ever any doubt? Japan. Honda, Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki. Italy has the passion, Germany has the engineering, and Japan has all of it plus numbers that flatten everybody. One stat that's honestly ridiculous. In its financial year ending March 2025, Honda by itself sold 20.5 million motorcycles. By Honda's own measure, that's roughly 40% of the entire global market. 4 in every 10 motorcycles sold anywhere on Earth, from one company. Yamaha, Suzuki, and Kawasaki add millions more between them, covering everything from tiny commuters to supercharged monsters that sound like the end of the world. But it's the depth that wins it. Japan engineers across the entire spectrum, from 50cc scooters to MotoGP prototypes, and yes, including that CB750, which, remember, is the exact bike that finished Britain off. That's the brutal poetry here. The country sitting at number 1 is the same country that knocked the previous number 1 off the throne, and it has never once handed the crown back. Now, the arguments. Because if you've been shouting at your screen for the last 10 minutes, this section is for you, and honestly, some of you are right. India first, because India's case is strong. Royal Enfield started life as a British brand, has been Indian-owned for decades, and designs and builds its own engines and complete bikes in Chennai. It crossed 1 million motorcycles in its most recent full financial year. And it isn't alone. Bajaj designs its own machines and now controls KTM's parent company. TVS designs its own bikes and outright owns Norton. Hero runs serious in-house research after splitting from Honda. And look at the direction the money is flowing. Indian companies now control KTM's parent and own Norton outright, and they build motorcycles under contract for both Triumph and BMW. India is not a supplier standing politely outside the industry, it's inside the house, and increasingly, it's holding the deeds. That's original powertrain engineering at scale, and if I'm honest, the only thing keeping India off the main list is that its global premium presence is still young. Give it 5 years and I don't think that argument survives. China next. And this is where I have to walk back what I said earlier. Yes, the Chinese industry grew up cloning Japanese engines. That's simply history. But describing it that way today is out of date. CF Moto holds over 500 patents, designs its own engines including a brand new 675 triple, and won the Moto3 Constructors' Championship in 2024. Lawson has been building engines for BMW Motorrad since 2005, including the twins in the F-Series adventure bikes. When a German premium manufacturer trusts you to build its engines, copycat stops being a fair description. Taiwan deserves a mention too because KYMCO has its own brand, its own research center and test track, and it built the engines for BMW's big maxi scooters. And if scooters count toward those 60 million global production numbers, you can't then dismiss Taiwan for making scooters. And America, I told you we'd come back. Under the engine and complete bike part of my test, the United States passes without breaking a sweat. Harley designs the Milwaukee 8 and the Revolution Max in Wisconsin and assembles in Pennsylvania. Indian designs the Thunderstroke and Power Plus under Polaris in Iowa. So why isn't it in the 5? One reason, and you're free to disagree with it. The range. American engineering today lives almost entirely in big cruisers and tourers, while every country in my 5 engineers across the whole spectrum from small bikes to super bikes to race machinery. That's my line. It's a defensible line, and it's also an arguable one, so that's the real map. Japan, the empire that won. Italy, the artist. Germany, the engineer. Britain, back from the dead. Austria, hanging on by its fingernails. And right behind them, India, China, Taiwan, and America, all with genuine claims and one of them growing scary fast. But remember where we started. Britain once claimed 1 in 4 motorcycles on the planet and then built almost none. Making motorcycles is not a birthright. It's earned, and it can absolutely be lost. And we just watched 2 giants nearly lose it. 5 countries hold it beyond argument. 4 more are banging on the door. And a couple of names on this list are closer to the edge than their fans want to admit. So tell me where I got it wrong. Should America be in the 5 and Austria out? Is India already ahead of Britain? Put your 5 in the comments and I will read them. And if you want to know which motorcycle brand I think collapses next, that video is right here.